Welcome to CEBSAR Talk. I am Evans Apia Kisi, the host of CEBSAR Talk. CEBSAR is Center for Better Society Advocacy and Research Africa. CEBSAR Africa is a non-profit organization that believes in a better society for all. We in CEBSAR Africa believe that a better society begins with you and I. Hashtag, a better society begins with me. For more information, please log on to www.cebsarafrica.org. Please follow us on the various social media platforms: YouTube, CEBSAR Talk, Facebook at CEBSAR Africa, Instagram, CEBSAR Africa, and Twitter at CEBSAR Africa. Like always, today we bring you another interesting discussion on the topic, media freedom and free speech in Ghana. Free flow of information, or in other words, availability and access to information, as well as media freedom, are key to the practice of democracy. Media freedom and free speech is a real opportunity that works to build positive peace and inclusive society for a sustainable development. In 2018, Ghana was the #1 African nation on the World Press Freedom Index. In 2020, Ghana had dropped to 3rd place after Namibia and Cape Verde in the African region and 30th in the world. This is mainly because of lack of protection for journalists and increasing threats against the media and individual citizens. In this episode of CEBSAR Talk, we unpack the current status of free speech and media freedom in Ghana. And to help us deal with such an important issue are our own Professor Inokopoku Entry. He's an associate professor of leadership and management at Viterbo University, across Wisconsin. He's a leadership consultant, he's an author and civic educationist. He holds PhD in business organizational leadership from the Indiana Wesleyan University, Indiana, USA. He holds MSc in business organizational leadership from Mount St. Joseph University, Cincinnati, Ohio, USA, and a BEd in psychology from the University of Cape Coast, Ghana. It's always a pleasure to host you, sir. Welcome once again to CEBSAR Talk.
Thank you very much, Evans.
Great. And our next guest is Evans Baidu Wampon. He's the Vice President and Director of Research at the Institute of Liberty and Policy Innovation, ELAPI, Ghana. He's an ardent speaker on media censorship in Africa at the African Journalist for Economic Opportunity Training hosted by ELAPI. It's a pleasure hosting you for the first time. Welcome to CEBSAR Talk, Mr. Evans Baidu Wampon.
Thank you, Evans.
Great. And let me also mention that for those of you who follow AK Mensam, myself, and CEBSAR Africa as an organization, we are streaming live on Facebook, and we would be expecting your questions and comments. So we'll not waste much time. Let me welcome you once again. Thanks so much, Prof. We know what you've gone through today, waking up very early already, being a guest on another show this early morning. So thanks so much for your time. And thanks also, Evans, for making time to join us. So let me start straight away with you, Prof. I mean, as we read the synopsis, there's a drop in the World Press Freedom Index for Ghana, and people have attributed this drop to the lack of protection and the threat against journalists and some media houses that we see of late in Ghana. So the question is, what's your view on the role of the NMC, that's the National Media Commission, and the National Communication Authority, as well as the Ghana Journalists Association Code of Ethics on media freedom and free speech as a whole? Do we think that these two regulatory bodies have a role to play? And what kind of role do they have to play in media freedom and free speech in Ghana?
Thank you very much, Evans. Greetings to your viewers and your listeners all over the world. I think that we have many rivers to cross, and Ghana used to be a very vibrant nation in terms of press freedom, but we have these agencies like you talk about, National Media Commission and the National Communication Authority. They are regulatory agencies. And let's go straight to our constitution to see why their roles have not been perfected or they are not living up to their roles. If you look at the National Media Commission, it was established by an act of parliament. And it is in our constitution, 1992 constitution. Chapter 12, clause 166 to 164 talks about a lot of things that they have to do. Let's see the composition of the National Media Commission. The Ghana Bar Association have one rep from the publishers and owners of the private press. Then one from the Ghana Association of Writers and the Ghana Library Association. One from the Christian Group, which is the National Catholic Secretariat or the Christian Council or the Ghana Pentecostal Council. There's another rep from the Federation of Muslim Councils and the Ahmadiyya Mission. There's another one from the training institutions of journalism and communications. One from the Ghana Advertising Association, one from the Institute of Public Relations, and then one from the Ghana National Association of Teachers. So teachers are also there in the National Media Commission. Then we have two reps nominated by Ghana Journalists Association. So we have two journalists there, and then two appointed by the president. Then three also appointed by Parliament. So if you look at our constitution, the National Media Commission is well represented from different areas. The question is, how come that they are not able to protect one of their own, which is journalists? We know about Ahmed Sware, we know about Fiapokuya, we know about Manasseh Azuri, that have been complaining a lot, and a lot of agencies and individuals who have been threatened, either through text messages and other stuff. And then they have to report to the police and the CID and the NIB, and yet nothing has been done about that. Before we end this, I will talk a lot about some of the things we have to do. But the commission also elect their leader, their chair. Now let's listen to the function of them based on the constitution, because the law should talk for itself. They have to promote and ensure freedom and independence of the media. So our media free and independent, where there are some question marks because we have pocket of cases of threats somewhere. So it means that the freedom to give us the information and education, we are not getting it as we should. They are also supposed to ensure highest journalistic standards. So ethics of journalism is also one of their cases. Then insulate the state-owned media from government control. They are supposed to make sure that the state-owned media, Daily Graphic, Spectators, GBC, those that are owned by the state, they are supposed to make sure that government do not control them. But the question is that what is happening on the ground? They are also to make sure that they regulate the constitutional instrument and the registration of newspapers and publications. So if you want to register to be an editor or anything, you have to go through them. And then they perform other functions prescribed by law. So you can see that they have a lot to do for us. Now, they also work with the civil service groups to make sure that they are also regulating what is happening in the media. Let's go back to whether they have been able to perform that function. I think that to a certain extent, they are doing what they can, but they can do more based on our history. As I speak to you now, we have about 43 radio stations alone in Accra. That means that the media, the numbers are there. But as to the quality of information that we are getting and education we are getting for the media, that is also another issue that they have to deal with. We also talk about sensationalism, where it's all about gossips. Just put an issue of, let's say, funny face. and somebody talks about funny face, within 12 hours, you have 50, 60,000 people viewing it. But educative program like this, how many people will listen? So the media have realized that people are more into sensationalism, the entertainment piece of media. Remember, the media have got three things: the information, education, and then entertainment. But our people like the entertainment more to a certain extent that the media have all shifted to entertainment. That is why we are not getting good information and good education for our people. And it's because our people naturally don't like to learn. So we need to work on that. They should be giving more education to the people because education has been part of every solution. The other thing you talk about, the Ghana Institute of Journalism. Ghana Institute of Journalism is a public university. It was established on the 16th of October, 1959 by Nkrumah. The whole idea of Ghana Institute of Journalism, he had a vision to train patriots, of journalists who play an effective role in the emancipation of African continents. So Nkrumah's idea was that how do we have vibrant media so that they will play a role so that we can emancipate ourselves from the white people? Now, how do the media help us to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery, which is also one of the issues that we need to talk about. So yes, the GIJ is training a lot of journalists, but the issue is that can they even speak to issues, especially when the rector of the Ghana Institute of Journalism is appointed by the president. So we have that situation where we need to collaborate. The media commission need to do more. The journalists need to do more about ethics. The people need to understand the job of journalists. That is the way forward. So I'll let my other colleagues speak, then we'll come back to other issues that I have.
Thank you very much. Maybe just a quick one. I'm sure we'll come there, but you mentioned three fundamental roles of the media. That's to educate, to inform, and to entertain. I was just curious, would you expect that because largely the focus has been on entertainment, should we be thinking about having media houses that would specialize in one particular area other than allowing them to of course to do whatever they like? I guess this is all part of the media freedom and free speech, but would you expect that then the regulators should also focus on how these media houses would specialize on, let's say, one area other than doing all and limited?
I think that is a good question. If you look at the advanced countries, that's what they do. We live in a world of speciality. People specialize in different areas that they have competency. If you come to the media in the West, if it is about politics, it's all politics. So if you want politics, you go to this station. If you want music, entertainment, you go to this music station. If you want sports, you go to this. But we are petty traders in our journalism in Africa because we give pieces of each, information here, entertainment here, sports here. So if you want the best entertainment station, you might struggle to find it. Because when an issue comes and is concerning about somebody who is a celebrity, I don't even know how we even define celebrity in our land. Because somebody can have a dance with head rest, and that person the next day is a celebrity. So we have a problem. Even the values that we don't have in our system has translated into the media, that anybody at all can call themselves a celebrity, and they come and insult and others. And today I had somebody who called me that they have a program and they want me to be on it this evening. And I said, I'm tired. You know what the program they're going to do? They're going to discuss about Funny Face and Mona Gucci. And I said, look, I don't have time to discuss other people. So you can tell that we discuss more people, and it's only mediocre minds that discuss other people.
True.
See, only mediocre minds. People who have self-actualization are discussing policies. They are discussing strategies that will move a country forward. We are a country that always is about sensationalism, gossips, insults. And when we begin to specialize, so let's say one radio station can specialize in music. They play music, even gospel, secular music. That specialty is going to help us. But the way it is, I have something here from the beginning. Our programs in Africa that when we started, it started with Super Morning Show. So when I was in radio, I was doing Super Morning Show. The car will pick me early in the morning, and then I go to the studio. I'll go with the technicians. We have a list of all the ministers and the deputy ministers on the console. So let's say this minister is on the headlines to have done A or B. You call that minister that I'm going to talk to you. And the ministers have been doing well, the deputy ministers. Anytime you call them, they will pick and then they will speak about the issues. But for far too long, we've been giving them all the time from Monday to Friday is all about politicians. See where the problem is? So where are the technocrats? Where are the experts in that field? We don't see them. Every issue we talk to politicians, and because politicians have been grilled, politicians are like lawyers. They are trained to win. So you argue your case for your political party. The best way to do it is that after the morning show, the trend has always been that there will be some, mid-afternoon show. There will be some news. There will be some sports in there. And then the afternoon, somebody will come and play some slow jam. And then the evening will be drive time. That somebody is going to talk about entertainment and the current music. And then the evening, you're going to have some music, reggae or something in throw in there. From 8 p.m. is going to be the pastors who will be preaching. So the morning, the dawn, it's all the pastors. And in between, you're going to have herbal medicines as adverts. That has been the trend when we started radio early in the late 90s to the 2000s till now, over 25 years, the same thing.
The same.
So the same thing. So we need to specialize. And I think that other journalists are beginning to understand that we've done the same thing. We're not getting any results. Why don't you specialize in talking about developmental issues? Leave the politicians out. Let those who are experts in different fields come in and talk about issues, because people are tired of polarized situation where we are pitching each other as this political party or the other. When you have serene minds who do not lean to any political party, but they are in to speak about the issues, I think that people will be ready to learn and then be informed. Other than that, our system is said that if I come to speak and I say something and somebody in the other political party don't like it, they begin to think that, oh, he belongs to this party. And because of that, whatever you say, nobody will listen to you. So our filters are skewed in such a way that we listen to only people who align themselves to our political party, and it doesn't help anybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I turn my attention to you, Evans. Now, Prof makes the point, particularly when you look at the constitution of the media regulators. And when you look at their composition, you find journalists themselves being part. You find media houses themselves being part. But yet still, we see a persistent threat or attack on journalists, and we can boldly say that we see nothing particularly being done about it. He also talked about the fact that when you look at the constitution very well, the public media houses, government is not supposed to control them, but we know this is not the case. What's your view on these two regulatory agencies and the code of ethics as far as media freedom and free speech in Ghana is concerned? You feel we are making some waves, or it's not the best at the moment? If you could unmute your audio. Great.
Yeah, thank you, Evans. The problem is the function of the media. You know that the media is a fourth estate of the realm, and in terms of their activities, they also disseminate information, they control, they also do mobilization, and they also serve as a mirror and a gatekeeper in a society. So because of that function, serving as a mirror and gatekeeping activity of the media, that is why we are having all these problems. Because if you look at even the National Media Commission per their act that Prof has talked about it, if you look at even NCA itself, then GJA, their code of ethics, you could see that all these three agencies come together and make sure that there is freedom in the media. The media landscape, they'll be able to perform their duties successfully. But with all these, written or documented laws, we've not seen implementation of them, and it's because of one, we will say the proliferation of these media houses, and most of them too, we know that in Ghana, 1/3 of the media houses are owned by politicians, party folks. And I think at times they just want to suppress the activity of some of the journalists who are up and doing, and say that we will move, or we will just be on the toes of the politician. Any things that they will do that will be inimical to the development of the nation, they will bring it into the limelight. And because of this, since these agencies are not paying much attention, I don't know the actual problem, whether it is negligence or something, because the law stipulates, and freedom of the media must be a paramount thing, as Prof was talking about it in chapter 12 of the whole constitution. Freedom of the media is stipulated there. So now the problem is, why is it that we cannot enforce it? Then you go back and trace and say that no, there are some issues within it, maybe because of how it is, how we see most political parties, opening, political party folks opening radio stations, and maybe it's going to be a banter between probably NPP and DC. But if you look at it, well, you see that it is negligence on the part of these bodies, because there are so many cases that we've seen. We've seen the Ahmed Swali case, we've seen Manasseh's case, we've seen, even prior to the election 2020, we saw so many brutalities whereby even military officers and security people under tags were attacking journalists, but nothing was said. I remember in one case, they said they are going to do investigation, when even there was an incident at Manso, a gold mining area in Ashanti region, whereby they were molesting the folks in their town, because a journalist was videoing whatever was going on between the military officer and the people in the community. They will do investigation. The military also came and said that they are doing investigation. As at now, we've not heard anything from it. So there is actually a in these three agencies which are involved, or which are mandated by the Constitution, to make sure that there is freedom suppressed for a long period of time. And think the only thing to do is that the law should take a whole course on them. The laws are stipulated, all right, but the thing is that we don't enforce them. And if it will be enforced, these three bodies, especially the GJA, which work with the National Media Commission, which have the sole mandate of making sure that there is freedom in the media. If they are up to work and they go according to what the law states, I'm not sure we'll be having issues here and there with brutalities with regards to our journalists.
Thank you very much, Evans. So I'll ask you a follow-up then later. We hope that your internet would be stable for us. I don't know if you can do something about it. But because you brought in an angle of media ownership, the fact that most of the radio stations are owned by political, I don't know whether I should say they are owned by political party faithfuls. And so this brings about the problem of enforcement, so that the regulatory bodies are not able to enforce the laws, particularly if the offenders are, part of the government. Do you think that it's something that should be checked? I know we'll come to ways of dealing with these problems, but quickly, do you feel that perhaps we should not allow, I know this is also going to be difficult, it would be an infringement on the rights of people as to, or with regard to, ownership of media houses. But do you feel that perhaps we should not allow political party faithfuls, those who are leading members of political parties, to own media houses?
Evans, we can't disallow them from owning media houses, but we can monitor them. As the law stipulates, we have to monitor. For example, in 2020, West Media Foundation for West Africa did some survey and they were doing some monitoring. They saw that within a space of 3 months, there was 110 violations, recorded with 15 media houses in Accra. And out of this, they saw that 58 of the violations were coming from a media house owned by a politician, that is Oman FM. Okay, and we saw in that same year or a year before, we saw the closure of other media houses, but this media house was not part of it. Okay, and if you look at it, you see that the violations that they saw or they monitored was 58 out of the 110, but nothing was done to them. So you could see that there is a problem. They are just glossing their mind off of the media houses owned by the politicians. But the whole thing is that if we are doing straight monitoring and we clamp you down, the moment we see that you are violating the laws or your own even code of ethics, you are even violating them, then we can clamp you down and probably just close it, sanction you, so that next time you will not go into that activity. So the whole thing is about the monitoring. We can't prevent them from operating, but we can monitor them. Since they are under the National Media Commission, we can monitor them in the NCA so that they will do the best thing that the law stipulates. And with that, we will not be having issues with them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Prof, I'll come to you, but I wanted you to have a minute or two on the question I asked Evans. And he talks about the fact that, of course, citizens or leaders of political parties cannot be prevented from owning media houses, which I agree. And that monitoring is perhaps the way to go to deal with some of these things. But do you agree, or you think that because of conflict of interest, perhaps the leaders of political parties should not be allowed to, own media houses, because the end result is that we are not able to enforce these laws, as he cited the case of the Media Foundation for West Africa, their report on violations and the likes like that. What's your take on that, sir?
I think the problem is not about ownership. The problem is enforcement. We have a National Media Commission and NCA that don't have the teeth to bite. And it transcends across everything that we do in Africa and Ghana, that when it comes to enforcement, we have one of the best laws in the world. People don't even know that peeing outside is against our laws. People don't even know that if you're renting a house in Ghana, the law from the rent control says that it takes 6 months. You have to pay only 6 months in advance. But then the owners are going to tell you that the owner of the house is going to tell you that this is my house. I'm renting it to you for 2 years. If you cannot pay, somebody will pay. So the difference, and I've heard many people saying that white people don't have a culture. Who told you? They have it. If you pay just 1 month advance for rent, and that is the law, everybody do that, obeys it. So they obey the law, they tell the truth, they are time conscious, and that is the culture. Our problem is that we have all the laws, but enforcement is a problem. So let's say a politician, as Ivan cited, there have been an independent body that is monitoring violations. If a specific radio station or TV station have violated 58 out of 110, that is more than half, one station alone. And then because the owner is aligned to party A or B, nobody can sanction that person because he has an influence in that political party, which is in government. Then you see we have a problem. Because when the tables turn and another political party comes and they have their own radio stations, as we saw, that happened to Radio Gold of Atuahoy. It's now closed. Radio SYZ is also closed, right? So let's say another government comes and decide that, okay, I'm also going to close this party, this station, because they have some violations and they are enforcing the law. Then we're going to turn that one to as political witch hunting, right? So this is where we find ourselves. Our system is a winner takes all. And when they come, another party come, they try to collapse all the business of the other people. So you can tell clearly that we are a people that have been wicked to ourselves. That is why we are not moving forward. If you don't belong to my political party, that doesn't mean you are my enemy. We are all Ghanaians first. If somebody is violating the law, apply the same rules. So the consistency in applying the rules should be a hallmark Unfortunately, you have parliament bringing in people, the president bringing in people, and I'm surprised that if you count the numbers, the independent bodies that are coming in from the Christian Council, from the Muslim Council, from the teachers, from all other institutions, they are the majority. So why can't they stand up and say that enough is enough? We need our media to be free and independent so that they can inform us, so that they can educate us. But as you can see from what Ivan said, our media somehow has been bought or rented, and most of them are just opinion press.
Interesting. That's a very good point you made. And I still remember our very first show on CEBSAR Talk, Political Tribalism. So the law must be applied consistently, not to favor some sessions of people. And this has always been some of the discussions that we've always had on this show, that it appears that in Ghana, the laws are made to favor just a few. And in most cases, those who have some kind of relations with the ruling party. But still with you, Prof, what's your take on public access to information in Ghana? Because this is also very important, particularly to help improve or promote free speech. There are some who have said that in this age of technology with so many media houses, we perhaps do not need the Ministry of Information. Do you find it as a relevant ministry in this age? And as public access to information growing well, particularly with the passage of the Right to Information Bill, which is now a law? What's your take on that?
When we were growing up, we loved the information service. They would bring their van to the communities. I grew up in a small community in Brownhafu region called Abuabu number 4, the Bono region. They recently had a light. So there was no light, there was nothing there. My father was a head teacher there. Now, what we did was that the information people will come and tell us about what government is doing that is going to help the community. So we rely on the information service and their van for all the information. I have been told that the now ministries have revived those things, but they also have to work in unison with the National Commission for Civic Education, because that is also another institution that are supposed to give mandate and talk to the people about civic responsibilities. Information service is relevant because information is everything. In fact, if you don't have information in this world, you are handicapped. I remember, again, growing up, that my father would buy all the newspapers. All the newspapers, every day he has subscribed, 8 of them will come. And he'll be keeping records about all these newspapers. Now, who read newspapers again? Because you flip your phone and everything is on the internet, right? So we have that kind of access to information. But unfortunately, the problem is that you have the Right to Information Bill passed. But if you need information in Ghana now, you have to go and buy it. You see where the enforcement is? So we make the laws by enforcing them. So a journalist needs information. And I will use Kofi Asare of Education Watch as an example. That he said, when they raised this issue of mathematical set, he wrote to the director of Ministry of Education that, can you explain to us this mathematical set, the cost? Because I've compared Sierra Leone, Liberia, and other countries, the cost and everything. He was ignored, according to Kofi Asare. He called, he followed up with a call, and the man told him, gentleman, I'm busy. So he did not get the information he needed. Now, my point is that if you pass laws and we cannot enforce them, Right to Information Bill passed. But what is the right to get that information? It is passed, but you can't get it. But another media house will say that I went and bought information. I know where I get my information. So we are all the media. Some have the information, some don't. What is the fairness in this system? So we have laws. And the only thing we talk about ethics of journalism, and we talk about the code of conduct of journalists. These are all important. But the politicians, the way they gag information, look at freedom from the 1992 Constitution. It's guaranteed for the media. And if you look at all that we have it there, even the private media are supposed to be getting information. They are not supposed to be gagged. Opinions and views of all those people are supposed to be respected. When they need information, government is supposed to give it to them. But do government even give them those information? They don't. Now, that is the reason why there's always an attack on the media. Because the media thrives on a couple of things. They thrive on truth and honesty or openness. So the media person is trying to dig for information. And maybe, just maybe, there are other people who also want to hide that information because they think when it comes to the public domain, it's going to hurt them. So what are our leaders hiding? What are the politicians hiding that they can't make it public to people? When bills have been passed, but if you need that information, you can't get it. Those are the questions we should be asking ourselves.
Thank you very much. Evans, should I throw the question to you? What are politicians hiding to the extent that public access to information in Ghana is still very difficult, regardless of the passage of the right to information, which is now the right to information law? Do you find the Ministry of Information relevant in this space?
Yeah, thank you, Evans. If you look at the role of Ministry of Information, it is to disseminate public policies and social interventions of government of Ghana, to the citizens in the nation. But if you look at even policies, they are supposed to tell us about the policies that government of Ghana is doing on behalf of the citizens. As at even today, if you go to the website of Ministry of Information, it's not working. Now, you see, we are in a dispensation whereby there are proliferations of media houses. If you go to rural areas, as Doc was talking about, the information service departments, they were doing all those things. But now we have a lot of media houses, and some even their wavelength can reach even local rural areas. So people have information. The media is able to feed them with information regarding the policies that government of Ghana is doing on behalf of them. So access to information shouldn't have been the problem. The right to information law that was passed, Dr. Prof was talking about, with that law itself, there are 13 categories of information concerning key executive government actors which are exempted. And if like time will permit, like we'll mention those 13 categories of information. Information about policies. If a journalist or even an ordinary Ghanaian, even the law, when you want information, there are some information you don't even have to state the reason that you need the information. You just have to write, and the information will be given to you, unless maybe they call you and they ask you for clarification. Then you tell them this, and this, that I'm asking for this information. But you could see that even getting some of the information regarding some policies from various ministries, especially the Ministry of Information, it is a hell. Okay, you try your possible best to get just small information that probably you want to work with, you will not get it. So even all the ministry, I remember 2017, we were working as LAPI, we were working on the ministries. We were trying to see the ministry that were performing. No, I think it was 2015, yes, 2015. Then we did it 2017. Now you saw that there are some numerous information about various ministries you will not even get on their website. And that speaks volume to us that getting information in Ghana to work with is quite problematic. And if you look at, for me, with Ministry of Information, all that they do now is just to defend the government. That is all. That is what they do. They defend government, whatever government is doing, whether it is right or not, they have the muscles to defend. That is all. They don't inform us of what is going on in terms of critical issues, explaining even policies. The mathematical set issue Prof was talking about, we were here, we had no information about it. We just saw that West African Examination Council is distributing mathematical sets. We didn't hear of anything, what went on, and people were even running away from questions that media houses posed them about how they did the procurement. People were running away from it. So you could see that public access to information in Ghana is very difficult. And as Prof said, at times you have to buy them. You have to buy the information that must be accessible to every Ghanaian. You have to go and pay for it before you get it. So it's a problem. And you see, that is a reason
most at times there are attacks, okay, on the media houses and individual journalists who are trying their possible best to bring into the limelight some of these things. So with this problem, it is a pertinent one, and it will continue because we have just folded our arms, you know, the authorities have folded their arms, and all these things are going on. So in the case of public access to information in Ghana, it's quite difficult. You have to suffer before you get it. At times, even you have to lose your life before even you get that information, but which is not supposed to be so.
Interesting insights there.
Evans, I'm adding something to what he said, that the way he ended it, that this is not supposed to be so. It saddens me to see the way we spend money in making great laws, but then how to implement them is a problem. And I don't know why implementation or enforcement of the laws has always been a problem. I can tell you from where I sit that even the technocrats, directors at the ministries, don't have the information. And when they tell you they don't have it, yes, they don't have it. The politicians have it, they don't share it with them. So we can see a situation where there's a disconnect between the politicians and then the technocrats at the various ministries and agencies, especially the civil service. So the government comes in there, the minister is appointed, and then all the directors of various institutions, you know, are also appointed. In a way, they have that kind of allegiance to their bosses who appointed them there. And that is another problem in Africa that I've observed. Any job you need, they will tell you, go and see this minister, go and talk to this person. So we've made our politicians so popular that there are no private or independent way to hire people who will come in and do the right thing. So we're independent, this person is that. And then the director comes and sits in here. If the director goes and asks the minister that, sir, these media agencies need information from me, so can you give it to me? The minister will tell them, we're working on it. To the point of even vetting ministers, some said that they don't have information. And then unfortunately, we were not digging deeper to get that information from them. So I think the media's job here is to dig deeper, follow up questions. And if they are not getting the information, they should let the public know, because they are our voice. Let the public know, I've called Minister ABC for this information. They are not giving it to me. Name them and shame them. That is the only way we can get the kind of information we want. The website is worse. If you go to any of these websites, we don't have information. As of now, even the figures of the election results at the website of the Electoral Commission, some are contradictory. So those who are intellectuals and need information for research, your data might not be accurate. And it's not in Ghana alone. Most African countries are like this. We're talking about bad roads in Ghana. Go to all the African countries. In fact, in Africa, one problem in one of the 54 countries is the same in all the other countries. And no wonder most white people think that Africa is just one country, because the same problem is everywhere. And is it our mindset that you have been put there, the people voted you into power? You have information and you are keeping it. You don't want the same people who put you there to know the information. Of course, we have some classified information for government people, but they all hide behind that is going to ridicule the government. It's going to make us unpopular. And because of that, most information that is supposed to be in the public domain are not coming. I think that is an area that we should look at. Then finally, you talked about defending the government. See, this is where we also have a problem where we don't even know how to disassociate ourselves as citizens or as political individuals. Technocrats are supposed to be people who are not politicians. They come in there, talk about policies, talk about strategies that will build the country, because every 4 years or 8 years, these politicians will come to ministries, they will reshuffle them, some will go, some will come. We need those technocrats. And I also encourage those technocrats to run for office, because they have a lot of information. Most of these politicians coming to the ministries are shallow in the knowledge of these areas, and the technocrats are helping them. Unfortunately, they push the technocrats to the back burner. They do all their things, and a lot of things that they have to do, the technocrats are not aware. So if you call that poor technocrat, they don't know. It is the politicians who are keeping the information. Let's keep hammering on them to get information that will help our people.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that additions. And thank you very much, Evans, for those insightful comments out there. So mainly, I would also like to emphasize, it was interesting when you pointed out that the Ministry of Information, the website itself has nothing to offer, you know, and this is the Ministry of Information. It's very interesting. I think that time is a bit fast spent. Let me read some few messages. If you are just joining us on Facebook, this is CEBSAR Talk. Today we are discussing media freedom and free speech in Ghana. So one from Vida Ajiman says, the wisdom of the learners. AK Mensa has a question here. Do we have something like Parliament TV in Ghana that mainly focuses on parliamentary business? And then Obasima Abena Jimfua says, the trend of journalism in Ghana currently leaves much to be desired. Hence, the media houses needs to review their strengths and the professionalism of a journalist or the host. This goes a long way to recognize and appreciate them. AK Mensa comes with another question. What's the state of media content on science research and development in Ghana? Recently, NASA went to space on the fourth planet, Mars, and they made some fascinating findings for the betterment of our world. Surprisingly, no media house in Ghana is talking about it. And Cassandra Chum Ampofu says, the job of the media is to dig deeper for information. So true, Prof. So this was more of a thumbs up to what you said. But quickly, about content-wise, also to add it to what AK Mensa said, or his first question, do we have something like Parliament TV in Ghana that mainly focuses on parliamentary business?
We don't. Currently, we don't.
Yeah.
I think content-wise, you see, I did a program, a webinar with a guy called Eko Micah. And Eko is in Ghana. He was working for Procter & Gamble in Cincinnati, Ohio. And then Nielsen is a company that tracks people who listen to radio stations, programs that people listen to. And they came to Africa. They made him a director there. And after 3 years, they realized that we don't even plan the way our media is. There's always confusion about things. So you cannot even track who is listening to what. And then they followed up and left Africa. So Michael realized that this is an opportunity to gather some of my friends. And now he's doing that as a private business. He's in 5 African countries. You can tell that the content is shallow. Our content is shallow because they know our people like sensationalism. Even go to our media houses now. How many of them have journalism degree? How many? And do you know that those who have excelled in media, most of them are media practitioners, but they don't even have journalism certificate until recently that most of them had it. Look at somebody like Wakubako. He never went to school for any journalism. But look at the way he's been writing as a good editor, very independent-minded, taking all the risks. My father went to jail with Kwakubako and Kwasi Pratt. Yes. Because they were writing. In fact, what the journalists have gone through in our time, my father used to write. And at that time, soldiers would surround our house, they begin to shoot. And then they will catch him, beat him till he start coughing blood. They will take him to jail. They will shave their hair with broken glasses. Bottles. Our journalists have gone through a lot. Now that we have the freedom, and I've not talked about professionalism, we'll talk about that. Now that we have the freedom, we don't live in that era that if a journalist, you say anything. I work in Columbus, Ohio here with JP. He was a newspaper editor. He had to flee away to US here. He's never come back. So the media have gone through a lot. And now that we have that kind of freedom, I think we can also use it well. If you look at this, Gardner, he talked about 7 ways individuals listen. So let's say somebody is a logical, mathematical reasoning person, like scientists or medical doctor or pharmacist or mathematicians or engineer or a handyman. Those people don't listen to sensationalism. You need a program for people like that. So National Public Radio have got a program called Science Friday. And it's all about scientific research. And those who enjoy research go and listen to that. Do we have something like that in Africa? No. So AK Mensa, no, that is it. Then some people are linguistic. Some people, yes, they like, so you can bring the poets, the journalists, the linguists, the chiefs, people who value culture, bring them there to talk about cultural things. You also have some people who would make a take from that area. It is not being done in our media. People also like music. So composers, violinists, pianists, bring them to teach about how these things are done. That is not done. Then we have spatial people, people who are navigators and sculptors. Are we even having programs for people like that? No, everything is politics. You see the problem? Everything is politics. From Monday to Friday, it's all politicians. Everything you call a Siedun Ketia, or you call Sami Jemfi, or you call whoever it is. And they talk about their political parties and everything, but let's talk about 64 years of independence. What has these politicians done for our country that we should be giving them all the media space to talk? We don't have engineers there that can talk about building bridges, how to make an exit and all traffic lights. And there are many things that we need to talk about, but we have narrowed ourselves to few areas. So the content itself must change. We need to be deeper in our content. Let's even talk about body kinesthetic people like dancers and athletes. Do we even give them time or space in the media to talk about things? And those who have interpersonal skills, life coaches. Look at the marital problems in our country. Look at the relationship issues in our country. Do we even give people time, space to talk about that? Because 2 or 3 things are very important in media. The first one is silence. You see, I've sat behind a console. If you are silent for about a minute on your program, all your listeners are quiet. They're listening to what is going to happen. So silence is one of the most expensive commodities in media time. The second one is content. So the program directors who design the content, when I come to Ghana, I talk to a lot of them, they will tell you that if we take the politicians out, we are not going to make any money. Because the politicians give them money to pay their bills. They think that if they bring experts to talk about, let's say leadership, let's say about engineering and other things, they will not get listened. But as we speak now, Elon Musk and Bill Bezos, Jeff Bezos, Amazon guy, they are colonizing Mars. And the media are talking to them. What are you doing? Because we know that Mars don't have a kind of land. You can build a house there, but you cannot plant any food. So they are making transit points where you can process food like burgers and other things to take it to Mars. And folks, we are here talking about what we eat, where we sleep, and even clothing that we put on ourselves. And then we're talking about Fanny Face and Monaguchi and all these individual things that does not help anybody. And do you blame them? Is it because that is what our people want to hear? You see, so you give the people what they want to hear, and our people should change what they want to hear. We should begin to learn. Wow. Unless we begin to learn, then sensationalism is going to filter in our media space, and it's not going to help anybody.
Thank you very much, Prof. We're running out of time, but let me read one message, and then I come to you, Evans, also to hear from you. Basima Abnajemfua again says, public access to information is poor in Ghana, especially in remote areas as of today, and that is worrisome. Our leaders are not making it any better other than corruption. It's a pity most people in Ghana lack basic knowledge about COVID-19 and its I guess implications, because public access to information is poor. So quickly, I think that Prof has already started the discussion, how to ensure, I would start with that first, how to ensure responsible participation of free flow information at all levels, particular the mainstream media, social media, in order to build a better society. He talks more about content-wise, the things that and also making efforts to improve on our content in order to reach individual citizens who have different interests. What would you also suggest as the way forward to ensure that the free flow of information or media freedom and free speech is something that is strengthened in Ghana? Evans.
Okay, thank you. For the flow of information, to happen, then people are fed up with whatever we hear on the radio. Every day you can see that the majority of the hours all the media houses use, they talk about politics. And as Prof was talking about, there are few private stations who have carved a niche, in some aspect of our life, with the issue of, even as we were talking about, do we have as parliamentary TV? You can remember some years I take
Yes, yes. I can remember 2 years ago or so. Yes, GBC was having one of the station that is GBC Govern or so, and they were showing parliamentary settings on the floor of parliament, whatever goes on. But when that contract even ended with the private person who was handling that aspect of the GBC, that is the end. We don't hear of information from parliament. We don't hear anything even on GBC, and no private even station has decided to even telecast proceedings that occur in parliament. The whole thing is, I think if some media houses begin to curve a niche, in some aspects of information, not probably necessarily the political shows and stuff like that. When we talk about science, technology, it will amaze you that some people even tune into Kantaka television because of some of the health issues they do with regards to technological what their man is doing. There are more audiences, or there are more people who even watch that particular television because of what they want to see there. I think for the free flow of information to occur, there should be diversities of the media houses. Some have to restrain themselves to some pattern that people can like. I think initially it will be difficult, but as time goes on, we'll see that people will be understanding, and people will also have the time to even sit by their television or even radio stations or radios and even listen to them. So the major thing is that if you are able to not like have one station that runs everything all together, but some can also make a decision and curve their niche with regards to one aspect. If it is entertainment, fine. We know that this television is known for entertainment. If it is science, technology, if it is fashion, is it about whatever, then technology, they will know that these are the stations mandated to do this. Even the state-owned media cannot even do that. So when private ones begin to do it, it will also help. Then one thing is, for the freedom to work, these agencies, these three agencies, the National Media Commission, National Communication Authority, the Ghana Journalists Association, if they are able to be up and doing, and they make sure that we will do the necessary thing, whether the station is run by a political figure or not, if you flout the laws, the law must also work. The moment we use one as an scapegoat and we see that we are not being partial, but we are cutting across, irrespective of your being, we will clamp down your TV station. It will serve as a deterrent, and people will begin to work well. But if these things are not done, and especially GJ, just do the talking, but we don't see any implementation. I'm not sure it's going to help. Then the last thing is that GJ must organize periodic trainings for journalists, so that they also be up and doing. They know the ethics. I bet you most of them are ignorant of even some of these ethics. They just go sit behind the console and talk anything that comes out of their mouth. Some are not even trained on that, about media ethics, all sort of things. So I think these agencies can come together and make sure that they educate the journalists as well as media owners, so that they also know what to do and what not to do. I believe if you're able to put all these things into being, it will help a lot.
Thank you very much, Evans. So quickly, I think that Evans makes the point that in terms of improving media freedom and free speech on the part of the regulatory bodies, perhaps they should be able to enforce and implement these laws. There should not be any favoritism. People should not be favored because they are aligned to a particular government or not. And he also talks about issues of periodic training and moving away from the regulatory bodies. He makes the point about diversity of media, particularly with specialization, as Prof also talked about at the very beginning. Prof, if you would sum it up for us, I know you already started with ways or different approaches with which we could improve this media freedom and free speech in Ghana, looking at it from the regulatory bodies and also from the citizenry in order to promote a better society.
Thank you very much, Evans. A bee shouldn't be able to fly because his body is too heavy for the wings. But the bumblebee doesn't know that, and it flies very well. This quote is from Mary Kay Ash. We don't know that we can fly, our media can fly. And there have been so many questions. Do they have the power? Do they have the know-how? Did they know that even tradition serves as a substance for consciousness? And that kind of training, when I was in Ghana in the media, the only organization that trained media, especially the morning show host, was the Friedrich Ebert Foundation. And that's from Germany. So training has been an issue for them. They need training. A lot of these sensational issues and insults, and even how to debate on our radio stations, we have not mastered that because we've not been trained. But the issue is that a couple of things, responsible use of media is one thing we should look at as a solution because they probably rely on them for information and public education. So the media use should be responsible. The other thing is that we have a system where people use entertainment for gratification. And that has been the mandate. Even when people are going on demonstration, they will be playing Jama and dancing Palogo. We are a people that like entertainment. We attach entertainment to everything. And that is why the media has been swayed there. So we should refocus our attention more on education and then the information piece. We also have to ensure that there is human dignity of journalists. That is very important to me. We need free and reliable source of information between government and government carriers with considerable professional risk. The other thing is that by its nature, journalism is a profession that survives on truth and accuracy. And any nation that hates truth or hides accurate information and engages in shady deals will not like journalists. That is why we are seeing these threats of journalists who are really truthful and they are digging for honest information from some people. I'm not saying all politicians, but some of them need to check the SS. Then unlike other professions, the mandate to publish reliable and truthful information in journalism includes the expression of opinions or conviction of the journalists. So sometimes when the journalists also talk about their own conviction about the issue, we tend to insult them. And because of that, they are forced to cow in that, well, if I say it, people will insult me, but that is not how it's supposed to be. People should understand the work of the journalists, that their convictions are also part of what they put out there. They are not like professors like us. For us, our opinion doesn't matter. When we do a survey, we report exactly what we found, and we lead the interpretation to different audiences. But in journalism, their conviction is important, and people should understand that piece of them. Then they must provide channels for ordinary people to express viewpoints. I think that ordinary people, one thing we do well in a radio is that anybody can call in and then express their opinion. That is really good. But for the print media, there's not that kind of opportunity. So the radios and the TV stations, they are doing well on that, where people call in. Now somebody can even sit at a farm and use their phone to call and contribute. That is great. So we are sending democracy and information to the grassroots. But as to the quality of it is the problem. And do you blame them? Because there are many people who say some things that they don't even mean it, because they cannot express them emotionally. So critical thinking is also one of the things that the educational institutions should begin to teach our students, how to critically think and how to do, a very good debate on radio station. But then I'm also ending by saying that they have a supreme mission to serve the people, the service of the common good. So journalists are supposed to serve us. Without them as mouthpiece and checking on the excesses of the judiciary, the executive, and then the parliamentary branch, we are doomed as a nation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Poku Entry. Thank you also very much, Evans Baidu Wampon. Also to add to it, what I would also end is that it's our prayer that the various ministries, particularly the Ministry of Information, will work on their websites and make available the necessary information that borders on governance, so that at least for those who can read and have access to some of these things, they can go there to read. I would come to you, Evans, and ask you of your concluding remark as well. But there is one last message from Evans M. Tete, who says, I think the government should empower the state-owned media more. Information and quality content in that regard should be a service for the nation. For the private media, they consider their business interest over the long-term benefits of the content. how many GBC regional stations for now are well functioning very well. So he's also adding to it that the way to go is for the government to empower the state-owned media. And then the very last one from Obasima again, yes, journalists of today are not trained and they need to be properly trained before hired. They also need some form of in-service training periodically to strengthen their technical know-how and also promote professionalism. This has also been already said by Evans and Prof already. But thank you very much, Obasima Abnajimfua and the others for your messages. Evans, your concluding remark, and then we end it.
Sure, thank you, Evans. What I'll say is that Ghana is part of ECOWAS. At times when in the country, when the nation is failing to do some right things, I think ECOWAS can also come in. Because if you look at the Article 66 of the ECOWAS revised treaty, it talks about ECOWAS encouraging member states to ensure respect for rights of journalists. And I think at times ECOWAS can also come in and make sure the state is on their toes with regards to these things. For our journalists, there are some fraction of them are doing well, but I also encourage the masses that they should be able to be abreast with their own code of ethics. They should understand and they shouldn't fear about talking the truth. As Prof said, journalism talks about truth and accuracy, and if you don't stand up to the truth, then it means you are not also doing well to your nation. There are some who have stood up for the truth, irrespective of whatever will happen to them. They will make sure they say the truth. So I'm encouraging all journalists, in Ghana, that they should make sure and say the truth. They should resist the oppressor's rule. I know at times even their own owners, media house owners will surprise them in terms of censorship, trying to, prevent some information from coming out. But they should be up and doing and say it. And I'm sure, posterity will talk about them, that this person stood for the rights of others and also work as a journalist. I think if we will do this, it will help us. One person needs to start. And I think I know 2 people have started working and together, others will also join, and we'll just name and shame every rot in the system.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Evans, Baidu, Wampon. Thank you very much, Professor Poku Entry. And thank you also very much, fellow CEBSArians, those of you who sent messages. We are grateful. And hopefully next week we come again with another interesting discussion. I am Evan Sapia Kisi, the host of CEBSAR Talk. See you.